I think the first talk was in Hampstead, the Sutra of Golden Light. And it's a big building, rather grand, high ceiling. It wasn't full by any means, but there was a certain magic in the air, about the atmosphere there. Even going there was a bit of magic, and going home there was a bit of magic. What that was, it's very hard to say, very hard to say. But it was palpable. It was palpable. There was something going on, beyond the normal talk, that someone might be giving, even about Buddhism, So meeting Bhante, he did call in the community. I didn't have great personal, I didn't have a talk with him particularly, just introduced, this is Stephen, that's who I was, this is Sangharakshita. It was pleasant and friendly, But we had been listening to tapes of his talks, and they were so good, they're so clear, and I resonated with what he was saying a lot, particularly about the individual. I was particularly struck. We listened to series, at the classes. People didn't give talks so much as we sat, meditated, had a cup of tea, listened to a tape lecture, maybe had some discussion. It was that sort of thing. But the lectures were very impressive, and you're getting a sense of this man. So it was meeting Bhante in these different ways, with hearing him going to a live lecture, but also listening to his talks and hearing about him from other older members, who had obviously been, got to the point of ordination with him. So it was just quietly. I'm struggling to say ordinary. It wasn't ordinary, but it was. It wasn't abnormal either. In some ways it was normal in the best sense. It was sort of real. It seemed very real and alive. More so than most things, other things I was in contact with. Well, Bhante was visiting Croydon. We'd set up the co-op, and I'd been pretty involved with the team. I was involved in searching for property, particularly, and then working in the co-op. And it was very exciting, it happened quite quickly. And then Bhante was very pleased with to hear about the co-op. It was a whole food shop, and then a vegetarian cafe. But then other businesses, there was an antique restoration. Had to do building work on the place. So there were building skills, some of them quite rough and elemental, but they had some skills, and the building team got jobs. The transcription of Bhante's lectures started there as well, Sumana on the top floor. And community, classes and businesses, So Bhante came down with a young Scotsman called Morris, and he was the driver for Bhante. And Bhante said, I was told Bhante'd like to see you. So Morris, Bhante, and I think Vasantra was in the car. We drove to Aryatara, and there he told me, I'll be ordaining you. And with Morris and with a couple of other men at Vajraloka. So that was it. So we went up to Vajraloka. It was either 4 or 5 day retreat. I haven't got words to describe it really. I know it was in Vajraloka, but I couldn't actually recognize which actually room. It was one of the upstairs rooms, and I think I know which one now, but it was another realm. Perhaps it was the whole occasion and going, is it sort of a little bit mysterious. But it was very joyful. And he gave me the name Good Mind or Happy Mind. And I was delighted with that. he told a story about based around a mountain in Sri Lanka. Then the story was that there was a guardian of this mountain where the Buddha had left his footprint. That's the Sambhogakaya story. The Buddha visited Sri Lanka, put his foot down on this mountain, and it was left there, and it did that in other places, I think. But and Suman or Saman is the guardian spirit of that mountain, and Banti unfolded that. He said, "Well, what does this mean? You know, he guards what the Buddha left behind, and then what did he leave behind? He left the Dharma behind, and how does he do that? Well, he practices the Dharma, you know. So that's how he sort of guards the." So that was a lovely story. And eventually I did get to Sri Lanka and go up that mountain some years later, yeah. I wasn't happy at Croydon any longer. I've been there 5 years. And I went to see Banti at the convention. I asked him I'd been given the Tara practice, but I asked him for additional practice, Manjughosha. And he said, okay. And he said, do both every day, which was a tall order, which I haven't been able to maintain that. I said, I'm thinking of moving. He said, oh, where are you moving to? And I said, Brighton. And I'd had connections down there with Mangala, and Dharmananda was there. And he shook his head. He said, same Southern conditioning, which he meant same Southern English conditioning, that there was a certain culture, you know, which was, you know, the Southern English have got certain ways of going about things. They're not always very direct, I don't think. And Brighton, maybe culturally as well as the Buddhist centre, was not much different than Croydon. And I think he was thinking more strategically as well. So he said, anywhere else, he's thinking. And I said, Glasgow. He said, oh. He looked really pleased, you know, at that, you know. And so we didn't really talk why, you know, we didn't talk why. I think I intuited that, you know, it would be very different than Southern England. And it is, and it was, you know, it was. You know, probably I went on a retreat up there and came back to Croydon and Purley, and the next day disappeared from Purley, which people did, at Croydon, and I left. I didn't have a connection, didn't feel a connection there anymore. I woke up in the morning after a day retreat and started hitching back to Glasgow, to the north. I wasn't much of a builder, but I did work on the conversion of was going on in Sauchiehall Street. And then when it opened, again I moved on. I was impressed with meeting Kamalashila, his calmness, and I moved to Vajraloka on a trial. Banti visited once. I might have been on a solitary retreat in Hridaya's Vajrapushpa's cottage. And I set off, and when I left, Banti was, I'm pretty sure, was in the Vajraloka. He was there. But then I walked through the woods and came out the other side of the woods. Banti was in front. How did that happen? You know, I was quite fit, you know. It's just I can't explain that, you know, can't explain it at all. I went to see Banti at Vajraloka in Birmingham. He was living there. And there was a search on for new property, you know, a place for the library. But I think Banti's vision was much more than it was you know, have his books there, but I think he had a vision wider than that. And I think he stayed alive to get this place established. I'm pretty sure of that, you know. But when I saw Vajraloka, the search was still on. It'd been going far and wide through the UK, Scotland, Wales, other places. And I think some people were getting a little bit tired of the search, you know. They tried this place, put a bid in, hadn't got it. Another place came up, oh, that looks promising. No, it didn't work out. I was talking to Anthony, I said, you know, you're still, they're still looking for a property. They said, yes. And I said, you're planning to live there? Yes. I said, you're still going forth? He said, yes, I'm still going forth here, still going for refuge. So that sort of a big impression on me, you know, his ongoing vigour, you know, right up to his last days, you know.